Hi, my name is Skinny Cheeks, and today I'm going to go over all the add-ons that I use. Some of these will obviously be more important than others, but I thought I'd just go through the whole list since something in here may be helpful for someone. First off is Action Duration Reminder. This add-on tracks your slotted actions that have a duration attributes or overtime effects and puts the numbers on your action bar and also shows the abilities that were on your back bar and the duration they have left. Next we have Advanced Filters. This takes the base game filtering system in your inventory and then adds extra sub-filters to it. Next up is Align Grid, and this just gives you a chat command that will put a grid over your screen. So it's nice if you're reorganizing your UI and helps you to line everything up evenly. Now we have AlphaGear. This is pretty similar to Dressing Room, which I actually use Dressing Room for my gear swaps. I have AlphaGear installed still because it auto charges my weapon enchants when they run out. I'm sure there's another add-on that would do that too, but I just haven't looked for one and this does it for me, so I leave it installed. Next is Arc's Enhanced Crafting. This add-on doesn't seem to be working right now. I keep it installed because I'm hoping they'll update it at some point. But what it does, it takes your crafting window and it filters out the materials you can't refine. So it just kind of cleans it up a little. And it does a few other things too, but like I said, it doesn't seem to be working for this current patch. Next up is Assist Rapid Writing. And what this does is lets you hotkey a button to put rapid maneuver on your bar or to take it back off and replace it with the original ability. You can also set it up to auto do that whenever you get on your mount, so whichever setting you prefer. Next up is the Asylum Sanctorium status panel. This is obviously only needed in Asylum. It gives you a Lothus timer, a Felms timer, Storm of the Heavens timer, and then also if you get hit by the bacon strips, shows you how long you have left on your main. For Asylum, I also do the Asylum Tracker. I don't have all the settings turned on, but there are a few that I really like. It also tracks Storm of the Heavens. It shows you who the blast is going on, so you can make sure not to move if it's targeting you. A bunch of other useful info for that trial. Next up is Auto Category, and this add-on separates your inventory out into different sections based on what type of item there is. Also splits up different item sets, so if the items have different names and aren't normally next to each other in your inventory, it puts them together. It also has a lot of advanced settings, so you can create your own categories based on different filters, so it's a really good add-on. Next we have Awesome Guild Store. This one isn't as needed anymore with the new Guild Store improvements they have, but it still has some extra filtering things that I like that aren't in the base game. Next up we have Azura. And this lets you take your UI and just pretty much move all the pieces wherever you want on your screen. So it makes it really customizable. Then we have Bandit's user interface. I don't use this anymore, but a lot of people like it. It has some cool features. There's potion slots that you can set up. I know a lot of people use it for that alone. It has all kinds of settings in it, so if you want to check it out, I personally have it turned off right now, but who knows, I might activate it again at some point. Next up is Blackrose Prison Helper. This is a really cool add-on, obviously only needed in Blackrose Prison, but it gives you different timers for certain enemy abilities that are going out. Also lets you know like what's coming up on the stage, what part you're at, especially for anyone new running Blackrose Prison. This really helps out a lot. We have Bound Armaments Counter. It's similar to Grim Focus Counter if you've used that for Nightblades. It just keeps track of where you are on your stacks for Bound Armaments. I actually just use Action Duration Reminder now that it seems to work properly, but I still have this on here just in case. Next up is BSCs-AdvancedSynergy. I like this add-on a little better than the Synergy add-on. It's a little more customizable. You can choose exactly what synergies you want to block or you want to be able to activate. You can block synergies from being used if you're not on your Lokestes bar or your Alkosh bar. The Synergy add-on, it seems to take your role, whether you're a tank or a DPS, and gives you certain synergies that you can take based on that. Whereas this will let you pick that. So if you happen to be a DPS wearing Alkosh, you might want to be able to take different synergies than if you were a tank wearing Alkosh. Then we have BSCs-AntiCombatInteract. I don't think this is working right now. It's supposed to when you're in a raid, you're in a trial, it's supposed to block you as a leader from being able to get this little radial window up and kicking people from group. I feel like I've kicked people since I installed this, so I don't think it's working. Next up we have Bug Catcher. This may or may not be a good thing. I tend to have a lot of bugs caught. Maybe I should be reading some of those, but they do get pretty annoying when you get these little bugs that pop up, and this just pretty much sticks them in the background so they don't bother you. Then we have Champion Point Respec. This lets you save custom CP setups for different raids or for PvP or whatever, and easily just pick the spec you want. You still have to pay the gold to change, but it just does it instantly for you. Next is Zirconian's add-on selector. This is probably one of the best add-ons. It gives you a little pull-down tab here to have presets for your add-ons. So if you want certain add-ons on for Asylum, different add-ons for when you're PvPing or whatever it is, doing writs, you can have your different setups here and then just click one button, reload your UI, and you have all the add-ons for that particular activity that you're doing. Next up is Code's Combat Alerts. Quick shout out to Code. He is a really awesome dude. He's the raid lead for my Saturday and Sunday night group in Night Fighters, and has some really great add-ons, and is a really great player. This one in particular just adds a ton of different notifications and alerts for different PvE mechanics. I recommend it to anyone that's doing any PvE content, to be honest. It just makes things so much easier, so go out and get that. Next is Combat Metrics. You probably know what this is already if you've been playing for any amount of time, but it's one of the most important add-ons to have. Gives a lot of detailed information that you're not going to get from the base game. Just install it, it's good. Next up is Constellations. I don't really use this add-on, but I know a lot of people do and seem to like it. It gives you recommendations for your CP based on a particular parse. I usually just look at my percentages of each damage type and kind of track it out myself, but this seems to be a good way to do that. Next up is Cooldowns. This is a really cool add-on. It puts little timers on icons based on certain sets you might be wearing, or passives that you might have, or abilities. The main one I'm using right now for is Marsalok, so I know exactly when I can bash and reproc it again. Now we have Crafted Potions, and this just adds colors to the potions in your inventory based on if they're crafted or not. White for non-crafted, green for crafted with 1 trait, blue with 2 traits, and purple if they have 3 traits. Then we have Crafting Stations. It just puts little markers on your map and shows a description of what the set does that's craftable there. Then we have Craftstore, and this keeps up with the research that you're doing for different traits. It also has a motif icon you can click on and see exactly what motifs that character still needs to learn. We have CrownCustomizer. This lets you customize the group lead's crown icon. to a variety of different icons. You can also change the size, so you can make it a really big icon. It makes it easy to track down whoever your party lead is. Next up is custom quality colors, and I actually forgot I downloaded this, but what it does is just lets you pick the different rarities colors. So if you're used to a different color scheme from a different game that you prefer, you can change ESO to be set up with that same color scheme. And we have dark UI, and this just overhauls the whole UI, makes it a little cleaner, a little more defined looking. Next add-on is DebuffMe, and this is a add-on primarily for tanking. It gives you these little timers in different colors, and it tracks your taunt, your Alkosh, your Crusher, and then Engulfing Flames. We have two add-ons from Dolgubon. We have the Lazy Set Crafter. If you're wanting to make a set of something, you can come in here, kind of do it beforehand, set it all up, and then it just spits it all out when you go to the crafting stations. It also will show you exactly what materials you're using. And then for the Lazy Writ Crafter, anyone that does writs needs to have this add-on. It auto picks the writs up from the board, it auto crafts them at the stations, and it auto turns them in whenever you go to the turn-in spot. It just saves a ton of time. It's really awesome. Next up is Dressing Room, and this is the add-on I use to swap between different skill bar setups, different gear setups. You can hotkey it and just quickly swap between different sets depending on what encounter you're approaching. Next is Dungeon Tracker, and this just adds a little side window. It shows which of your characters have completed that dungeon. Also shows for like public dungeons, the group challenges, and things like that. I think Bandits also does this. Someone told me that Bandits does this too. So if you have that installed, you won't really need this, but it's kind of helpful in certain situations. And then we have Easy Travel, and this is pretty sweet. It automatically finds people that are in your different guilds that are in the zones that you're trying to travel to. And so instead of actually going on your guild page and looking for a person that's in the zone you want to go to, you just go from your map and you click the name of the zone you want to go to, and if someone's there, it takes you there. Next we have ESO Master Recipe List. This will just show you, the main thing I use this for is to see whenever I highlight over a recipe that I've picked up, it will tell me who knows it, and it'll also put a little mark on there if none of my characters know it. So it's helpful to quickly know if it's something I should hold on to or not. Then we have Essential Housing Tools. I know people that do a lot of house stuff. This has a ton of features in it that are really useful. The main thing I use it for is to reset my training dummy. So it'll allow you to just do a key command to reset your dummy even if you're still in combat, which I don't think any of the other add-ons that reset dummies do. So I prefer this one. It saves a lot of time and lets me restart my parse if I messed up. And we have Fancy Action Bar. I don't have this installed right now. I was using it for a little bit in place of Action Duration Reminder. I'd like to give it another shot someday, but it is a little off-putting at first because it leaves both of your skill bars always up on your screen and just grays out the one that you're not on. So it can be a little strange at first. I didn't get used to it and didn't really want to give it the time, but I may go back to it at some point. Then we have Global Cooldown Bar, GCD bar. And if you've seen my other videos, you've probably seen this when I'm parsing on a dummy. It just gives you a little bar that goes from right to left and shows that 1 second global cooldown. And so you know exactly when your next ability is ready to be hit. It can be helpful for certain abilities. Their animations don't quite line up with their actual times, and so if you just follow that, then you'll have better results than if you try to go off the animation. Next up is Grayskull, and this just puts this little window on your screen that shows your current weapon or spell damage, and you can set different colors also to different thresholds, so you'll know when you're surpassing those thresholds. So if you have like Clever Alchemist or something like that, you know you're gonna pass up a certain weapon damage point. You can set it to that point and it'll show that color, and then you'll know when the color changes that the proc has gone back down, stuff like that. Next up is Grim Focus Counter. It works just like Bound Armaments Counter, except for Nightblades. It just keeps track of your stacks and whenever you're ready to fire off the bow proc. Then we have Halls of Fabrication status panel, and this, similar to Asylum status panel, just adds a little bit of information based on what boss you're on. Shows your percentages for the triplets, which can be really helpful. So if you're not, turning your point of view and looking at each of their health bars. We have Harvin's improved skills window. This is a pretty small thing, but it just shows when you highlight over an ability, like if it's not ranked up, it'll show you what changes at that next rank, and also if there's different morphs, it will show you what the different morphs do when you highlight over the ability. The other add-on I'm using from Harvin is Harvin's item stats comparison. Pretty much just shows if you highlight over a piece of equipment how your stats will change if you equip that over whatever item is currently in that place. And we have Hodor Reflexes. This shows in real time the DPS for the members of the group. If they don't have the add-on and they don't have it turned on, you won't see their DPS, so it doesn't force show others in the group if they don't want to participate. But a lot of groups will like to have this running just to see where everyone is at. It also keeps up with the major force timer for support, and then also the Colossus for your Necros in group. Next up is HowToSunspire, and this add-on is similar to Asylum Tracker. It just puts a bunch of different notifications on your screen based on different mechanics that are ongoing in Sunspire. It's a really good add-on to have if you're trying to figure out that trial, or even if you do have it figured out, it's just pretty helpful. And then Inventory Insight is one of my favorite add-ons. It tracks all of your inventory across your characters and in your bank, or in your storage chests in your house, and then you can just search through all of those and see if you happen to have a piece that you're not sure of on another character. You just have to make sure you do log onto that character at least once the add-on is installed. And we have Item Saver, and this just lets you create custom tags for items. It'll also let you put special properties on that to like hide it when you're selling stuff or you're at a guild store, stuff of that nature. Next up is Itemization Browser, and this just lets you quickly search through the different sets in the game and see exactly what they do without having to pull up your web browser. And then JoGroup. I don't actually use this. I know a lot of support use this for the custom group frames, but yeah, I just use the default one. Then Key Binding Miscellaneous Mementos. I use this for the rainbow banner that you can use. It's nice to just be able to hit it whenever I want without quick slotting it. It also has the mud balls on there. And then Kiyoma's Global Achievements. This puts a little special tab at the top right of your achievements, and you can look at your added up achievements for all of your characters. So it's really nice if you play on a lot of different characters, and just to be able to look at where you're at with them all put together. And then LGM, Lilith's Group Manager. This add-on is really great for anyone running a raid. It has all the grouping tools and auto invites. You can set up your different groups. It also has death recaps, so you can see what each person died from, and it will go back and show each ability over a set amount of time, and also any heals that they may have received in that amount of time. It's just an awesome add-on to have. Now we have the lib files. I'm not going to go through the lib files, but pretty much different add-ons need these files to work. And those add-ons will tell you which ones you need. So just install the ones that are required for you. Now we have Light Attack Helper. I pretty much just use this whenever I'm parsing on a dummy. It will tell you what your light attack ratio is. And it's nice to see if you're nailing all your light attacks. You can quickly see if you missed one. Sometimes it's a little hard to tell. Alright, next up is Lilith's Lazy Hacks. It does auto charge and auto repair. I actually have this turned off right now. I think there's some bug in the game with auto repair right now where certain add-ons are causing crashes with that. So I just have that turned off until that isn't a thing anymore. And LUI. This gives a ton of different UI options. The only thing I actually have on this right now is the little sound for Crystal Frags proc. But I know it does a ton of other stuff. And we have map pins, and this just adds the different locations onto your map. So it will help with like the Sigil quest, knowing exactly where to go and stuff like that. Next we have Master Merchant, and this tracks all your sales and your on your guild traders, and keeps up with the different prices and shows you good deals, bad deals, and all that. It's pretty much a staple for any trader, so make sure you have that. Then we have Merlin's Res Helper. It's a pretty simple add-on. It just shows whenever someone's dead, it will put a little icon on your screen and an arrow pointing towards them, so you can know where they're at, where to go to get them, and if there's no icon, you know they're already being res, so you don't have to worry about it. In Miat's PvP alerts, I know this used to be a different add-on that people did not like because it showed you what other people were doing before. You should be able to know that, but mainly this is just here now for these custom map icons. So when you're riding around, you can see the keep, the lumber mill. It'll show you the color of it based on who owns it, and also if it's flipping, it'll show you the color of who's taking it. It's pretty useful. Then we have mitigation percent, and this I mainly just use to see what my penetration is at. It automatically adds it up for you. And it does add percentages too to your spell and physical resist, instead of just the flat numbers. Next we have My Build. It's just like Superstar, except for some reason with Superstar I can't get it to show both of my bars. Even though I swap back and forth, it just doesn't show. So My Build is like Superstar, but I can get it to work and show both of my bars. Then we have Nameplater, and this just gives you custom sizes and fonts for your nameplates. PChat is just a chat overhaul. It has a ton of features. You can change all the colors. You can change how people show up, whether it be their username or their character name. And it also saves your chat too. So if you like log on a different character, it keeps all your chat from the previous character you were on. Then we have Perfect Pixel, and this just changes your UI to just kind of fits things in there better. So whenever you pull up different windows, you can see everything at once instead of having to scroll through and only see like a small little section of it at a time. Next we have Photographer. I pretty much just use this to hide nameplates and icons whenever I hide my UI. Sometimes it leaves like little icons on there that I don't want to show when I'm taking a photograph. It also has some features to like auto photograph whenever you get an achievement or level up or things like that if you're interested in that part of it. And we have played all, and this will just, you have to log into each of your characters, but you can type /played all instead of just played, and it will add up all your playtime across all of your characters. But yeah, user beware. Then we have our Plunder Skull timer for the Witches Festival, and pretty much just does what it says. It puts a timer on there for you. And Potion Maker for alchemy crafting. You don't have to remember what ingredients go. You just come in here and pick what effects you want, and it shows you what you can make. And then we have Provisions TeamFormation. I think this just puts little icons on here based on where people are at in your group. I actually haven't used this. Someone for PvP told me to download this, and I downloaded it, but I haven't really used it yet, so I think that's all it does. Then RaidNotifier. This is one of the most important add-ons to have for raiding. It just gives you a lot of different notifications based on what trial you're in. You can set up different options within the different trials too. There's different lines you can turn on or off. It's really helpful. Then this add-on is called Sell Ornate Items. It's pretty simple. It just puts a button on your screen when you go to a vendor to sell all your ornate items. There's other add-ons I'm sure that do this and probably do a lot more, but this was enough for me. The next add-on is Siroria, and this just adds this little timer whenever you're using this set. It shows you how long you have left until you can reproc it, how many stacks you're at, and then how long before you lose it. So pretty much just helps with movement, so you can make sure you move at the right time and not lose your stacks. And we have a Superstar add-on. I talked a little bit about this earlier. Same as my build. It just shows your gear that you're wearing. I can't get this to work with my skill bars though. Synergy, I talked a little bit about this earlier as well. It blocks synergies for certain roles, so based on what role you're on, you can't take certain synergies. It's pretty helpful for groups that are really trying to make sure that their tanks in Alkosh are the only ones proccing things like Harvest and Conduit, things of that nature. Then we have Unlimited Camera Zoom. This does exactly what it says. You can just zoom in as far as you want without it going to first person mode, and it also works on horses. And we have Ulrich's Skill Point Finder. It just shows you all the skill points you have and which ones you're missing, so it's kind of nice. Then we have the Scythe's emotes. And it's kind of goofy, but it just pretty much turns certain text into emotes, like a lot of common Twitch phrases and stuff like that. Next up is Votan's Adaptive Video Settings, and what this does is it'll change your video settings based on certain target frame rates, and you can change that for in combat and out of combat. So if you're getting good frames, it'll make your settings better for your graphics. If you're starting to get bad frames, it'll turn things down in order to keep that balance there. Votan's Advanced Settings. This one is pretty much just does a lot of different things that you can already do in your ini file, but you can do them within the game, so you don't have to go in the ini file and actually edit it. And look, Minion is not responding. Wow, shocking. Next up we have Votan's Crafting Quick Access, and I've never used this. Okay. Well, anyways, next up, I don't know what that does. Next we have Votan's Fish Fillet, and this just lets you fillet whole stacks at once instead of having to push the button over and over. Then we have Votan's Fisherman. It will tell you based on what kind of fishing hole you're at, what type of bait you should use. Also adds a little icon on the screen when it's time to reel in, so you can kind of not pay as much attention if you're doing other stuff and know when you should hit the reel in button. Next up is Votan's improved locations, and this just separates on the side of your map the different spots by whatever faction they are. And then we have Votan's improved outfit station. It lets you save your outfits. If you don't want to have like additional outfit slots, you can just save them in here and then pay the gold or outfit tokens to swap between them. Then Votan's keybinder. This is a really good one. It lets you save account-wide your keybinds, so you don't have to set it up for each character. And then you can actually check it if there's a certain character you don't want that to be account-wide on. You can uncheck the box there. It's a big time saver. And Votan's rune tooltips. I'll just show you on the tooltip what that glyph does. Votan's search box. This just adds a little box to your UI that you can search through your inventory or through the bank or the guild bank or whatever menu you're on. And then finally, Writworthy. And this pretty much takes your master merchant info and shows you the map prices, how much per voucher that would be. So it kind of lets you know if it's worth doing or not. And it also auto crafts them for you. You have a window that you can pull up, this one right here, and based on what's in your inventory, you can queue up the different writs and just craft them all at once at the stations, and then go and turn them all in one by one instead of crafting and then running back and forth. This is a big time saver for that. Well, that is it for this video. I really appreciate you guys watching. Let me know in the comments if there's any really awesome add-ons that I don't have that I should have. I'm definitely open to trying new ones out, or if I have an add-on I'm using and it's a piece of junk compared to some other add-on that does the same thing. That's super helpful for me. But everyone take care, and bye.